If you want to get shockingly steady shots using your iPhone and a 3-axis gimbal, this video is perfect for you. In this video, I'll share with you my 6-step process and how I'm getting the most smooth shots somehow possible. So let's grab a cup of coffee and let's get going. Alright, so welcome back to the channel. In case you're new here, welcome. I'm super excited to have you. My name is Julian and I'm the creator of Smartphone Filmmaking Pro. So let's kick things off. Let's start making some smoother videos using our gimbals and our iPhone. And by the way, it does also work with pretty much any other smartphone as well. And the first tip that I have for you, and that is a crucial one, instead of shooting with the 1x lens, make sure that you use the ultra wide angle lens. Most smartphones these days happen to have an ultra wide angle lens, and it's gonna make a hell of a difference in the final outcome. So I'm just gonna record a sample shot right here, right now. So I'm just passing Alex, and this is what it looks like with the 1x lens. And it's also looking pretty smooth, not too bad. But now let's switch over to the 0.05 lens, and that is gonna make a massive difference in the final outcome. So let's check this out. Yeah, that's making a massive difference. The reason behind that is with a wider angle lens, you're not seeing your imperfections as much. By the way, this also applies if you're just shooting handheld without any gimbal. So if you want to get the smoothest shots, also if you're shooting handheld and you don't want to get, a shaky shot, just switch over to the ultra wide angle lens and you just won't see the imperfections as much. But now let's move over to tip number 2. All right, so tip number 2 for getting the most smooth looking shots using your gimbal and a smartphone is to getting the proper balance. So I've now turned off the gimbal, and by the way, in case you were asking, the gimbal that I'm using is the brand new Hohem iSteady V3. We're going to talk more about that later, but now let's talk about the balance. And this is what it looks like if I have turned off the gimbal, and what you can see is that the gimbal is leaning way over to the left. And generally speaking, when it comes to balancing any gimbal for that matter, the goal is to bring it into a position where the phone stays in its position without falling over like this. So what we need to do is, obviously just slide the phone over to the opposite direction. Something like this. That's not quite enough. Something like this. And then I'm very often getting the question, because as you can see now, my phone is staying in its position without falling over. And the question that I'm getting very often is, yeah, Julian, that's cool, but my phone is still leaning over to that side and I want it to be perfectly fine like this. With most gimbals at the back here, you can also slide the phone upwards and downwards. And with this action, you can actually counteract that. And then there's one more secret that I can share with you right now, like getting the balance 80-90% right, like I have it right now. This is not perfect, but this is, more or less good enough. The secret is that 80% balancing is good enough. Just turn it on, and then you're basically ready to go, and you're gonna get some absolutely smooth shots if you're also following all of the other tips that are gonna come right now. Tip number 3 is a very quick and a very simple one that I'm always recommending whenever you're filming some B-roll shots, which means, shots where nobody's actually talking like I'm doing right now. And that is at the top left of your iPhone. Just come over here where it currently says 24. Just tap on that once, then it says 30. Just tap on that one more time, and then you're shooting in 60 frames per second, which means you're just capturing a lot more individual frames each and every second. And that means in the post-production, you can actually slow down your clips, which is gonna make them look so much smoother compared to just shooting in 24 frames per second. But how that works, just stick around. I'll show you in this very video. But now let's move on. So by now you're already using the ultra wide angle lens. You're shooting in 4K at 60 frames per second. So everything, the basics are right. Now tip number 4 is a very crucial one to actually get some smooth looking shots. And I'm now actually going to show you what this tip looks like. And the tip, generally speaking, is to bend your knees when you're walking, when you're shooting with any type of gimbal or stabilizer, to get rid of the up and down movement. So let me show you what it looks like if I'm not doing that. I'm just walking normally. And the gimbal is stabilizing very nice, but you still have this kind of up and down movement, which is what we're trying to get rid of. So what we're doing instead of just walking is, I always like to call this the ninja walk. So I'm just bending my knees so that I'm getting rid of the up and down movement. and to get some absolutely smooth looking shots. So at the beginning, if you start doing the ninja walk, it might feel a little weird, to be honest. And also, like, if you're shooting here in like a public area, it does also always look a little bit weird when you're doing this kind of motion. But to be honest, the results, they absolutely pay off. Like whenever we're doing some paid work, like this is the crucial thing to really, you know, separate our videos from, you know, from what most other people are doing. So yeah, just try it out, give it a shot, and see the magic of, you know, bending your knees of what the ninja walk does. All right, so before we're coming to the last two tips, let's very briefly talk about the gimbal that I'm using to shoot this entire video on. This is the brand new Hohem iSteady V3, and Hohem has very kindly sent this over and supported this video. So let me very quickly talk about this gimbal. It's a tiny, small, very lightweight 3-axis gimbal that basically does everything that you ever would like to have. You can, you know, switch from landscape to horizontal shooting within just a simple tap. You can start and stop your recording. It does have an AI tracker built in that is also detachable, so you can use it basically in any direction. This right here, it has all of the sensors needed to, you know, to actually use the AI tracking. It is also a light that you can use with a couple of different strengths. And like I said, you can just use it in any direction that you want. So in case you want to use it for yourself, basically detach it, then it starts blinking. And then all you need to do to actually start that gimbal is just do this hand gesture right here. You can then see that the light turned from red to green, and then it's just tracking me around wherever that I'm going. It's working super reliable, and in my opinion, Hohem has the best system when it comes to the AI tracking. A couple other cool features that the Hohem iSteady V3 has is this area right here of the gimbal. This is actually detachable, so you can start and stop your recording. You can pan the gimbal, you know, so as you can see, I'm just panning over to the other side just from the, you know, from this joystick here. Basically, you can start and stop your recording, and you can also switch the mode, so you could also, you know, flip it to the other way around. So that's super nice. It does also have an extension rod built in, so in case you want to shoot something that's a little higher up, you can also use that. And overall, it creates some super smooth shots, as you have seen throughout this video. So in case you're looking for a gimbal, I will link that down below. But now let's come to the last two tips. All right, so tip number 5 is not so much about the actual stability, about the physical stability of your shots, but is actually about, you know, the outcome of your videos to make it just look a lot more smooth and a lot more, you know, to have that wow effect in your shots. I'm just going to show you two different shots right now. So this is basically just me walking towards that church, and it's looking pretty nice, nothing special. But now let's basically do the exact same shot, but the only thing that I'm changing is I'm also trying to have a little bit of a foreground, and I'm also trying to add a little bit of a tilt up to my shot. So let's see what that actually looks. So I have locked my focus and the exposure. I'm just moving over here a little bit to also have that tree in the front. I'm gonna start my recording, and then all I'm gonna do is obviously bend my knees and then also tilt upwards when I'm moving forwards. And this is obviously a much more dynamic shot, and this is going to deliver, you know, so much more beautiful shots that actually have that wow effect in the final outcome of your videos. And you can do that with basically anything, basically wherever you are. Just try to, you know, also add a little bit of a foreground to your videos to spice up your shots. All right, so the 6th and last tip that I have for you has nothing about the shooting itself, but is actually about the post-production. And there you obviously can also, you know, spice up your videos a lot more. So you could obviously do this on your computer within Premiere Pro, Final Cut, DaVinci Resolve, or CapCut, and you can also do it on your smartphone directly. And I'm also using CapCut to show you this example right here. So what I'm gonna do is just open up a new project and just import the last clip that I have just taken. I could trim it here right away to just cut off the beginning, but yeah, it doesn't really matter, to be honest. So just import that, click on add, and now we have this in your timeline. And if we play that back, like, even though this is shot at 60 frames per second, it obviously just plays back at normal speed. But since we shot this at 60 frames per second, we have the opportunity to slow that clip down. And the way this works is super simple. Just select your clip right here, and at the bottom you have speed. And then you could either do a speed ramp, you could customize it. You have a couple of presets right here where you can see it speeds up and then it slows down again. So we don't want that. We will actually just come into a very basic, you know, slowing down of the video. Just go over here to normal, and then you can see I can slow that down by 50%. You can even slow it down a bit more, but 50% should work just fine. Just accept that. And now if we play that back, you can see we have a very dreamy and nice slow-mo look. Yeah, I think that's looking very nice. And then obviously you could also add speed ramps and so on to make it look even a bit more interesting. But I just wanted to show you real quick, like the theory behind shooting in 60 frames per second and what opportunity this opens up. When it comes to the post-production itself, you obviously can not only slow your clip down, but if the shot still was a little bit bumpy, if the balance maybe was not right, if, you know, something happened, if it was windy, you could also stabilize the clip in your editor of choice. In CapCut, you can also do that super simple. Again, just select your clip right here, then swipe over to the very right. No, not to the very right, but actually right here. Click on stabilize, and then you can choose minimal cropping recommended and most stable. And then it basically depends on the clip that you have, how shaky it is. You basically just try it out, and then it's just gonna give you a warning message, and then you will see the results immediately. And in this case, in this instance, I think it's looking absolutely nice. All right, guys, so there you have it. These are my top 6 tips when it comes to getting shockingly stable results with your smartphone gimbal. It does work with iPhones, but also with Android phones, obviously. In case you want to become a content creator and not just shoot videos for fun, but actually turn that into your full-time job, we've just launched our brand new Content Creator Foundations course, which is just $1, and it's going to teach you the foundations of shooting great looking videos, editing those videos, showing you how you can land your first client as a content creator, and we're also sharing with you like the fundamentals of social media. You can check it out down below. Again, huge thanks to Hohem for sponsoring this video. And in case you have not seen the video where I'm showing you how you can shoot cinematic videos using your Galaxy S24 Ultra, check out this video over there.